The tennis world had just watched Alex Eala walk off Berlin Open center court after her Cinderella run ended in a heartbreaking semi-final defeat to Linda Noskova. But while fans were still processing the loss, the Filipino sensation was already on the move, not back to Manila, not resting in a hotel room, but heading straight into a new battleground. Less than 48 hours after her Berlin exit, she arrived at the Bad Homburg Open with something nobody expected. Not exhaustion, not regret, fire. And it immediately raised one question: what had changed in such a short time? Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22nd, 2026. A black sedan pulled up to the private entrance of TC Bad Homburg just as the morning mist began to lift. The tournament, a WTA 500 event, and the final grass court warm-up before Wimbledon, was already alive with the energy of the world's best players. But the atmosphere shifted the moment the door opened and Alex Eala stepped out. She looked different. Not broken. Not tired. Not defeated. The same woman who had walked off the court in Berlin just 2 days earlier now carried herself with something sharper, something fiercer. Her racket bag hung over her shoulder, her jaw was set, and her eyes, once glistening with emotion in Berlin, now carried the burning intensity of a competitor who refused to stay down. So how is Eala already here? The answer was simple. Her Berlin run had pushed her ranking from number 35 to a career-best number 30 in the world, securing her a historic Wimbledon seed, the first Filipino ever to earn a seeded position at a Grand Slam. On top of that, she'd been awarded a main draw wild card into Bad Homburg. But what looked like a routine wild card turned into something much bigger. When the tournament confirmed her doubles partnership with 7-time Grand Slam champion Venus Williams, the tennis world erupted. A legend paired with a rising star on the same side of the net, Bad Homburg instantly became the most talked about stop of the grass season. Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22nd, 2026. TC Bad Homburg. The draw announcement. The wild card had been granted weeks earlier, long before anyone saw what Eala would achieve in Berlin, but now it meant something entirely different. It wasn't just an invitation. It was validation. A WTA 500 event built as a Wimbledon tune-up had become a proving ground for a player who'd already shaken up the rankings on her Berlin run, beating top opponents along the way. She was no longer just a wild card. She was a threat. Standing across the net in her opening singles round was someone who understood exactly what that meant. Elise Mertens, the experienced Belgian ranked world number 24, who had already beaten Eala before, most recently a brutal 6-2, 6-1 defeat at the Madrid Open just 2 months earlier, in only 76 minutes. But this was grass, and Eala had momentum nobody had seen coming. Still, Mertens proved tough again. This time, on grass, Eala fell 6-3, 6-3 in her opening singles match. The rematch didn't go her way, but the Berlin breakthrough had already done its job. It locked in her seed, and her story was far from over. Bad Homburg, Germany, June 22nd, 2026. TC Bad Homburg. The doubles draw announcement. The singles matchup had already captured attention. Eala versus Mertens, a rematch of their Madrid clash. But when the doubles draw was released, the buzz reached another level entirely. Next to Eala's name appeared a partner that stunned the sport: Venus Williams. 7-time Grand Slam singles champion. Multiple-time doubles champion. 5-time Wimbledon winner. One of the most influential figures in modern tennis history. A player who had defined eras of the sport now stood alongside a rising star still riding hers. Both Eala and Williams had entered Bad Homburg as singles wildcards, but their doubles pairing was something else entirely, a first-time partnership that became the most talked-about storyline of the tournament. Fans online called it surreal. Some couldn't believe it was real. Others called it destiny colliding with opportunity. For supporters who'd followed Eala's journey from local courts in Quezon City to sharing the stage with a legend, the moment felt unreal but earned, built through momentum and belief. And just like that, Bad Homburg was no longer just a warm-up event. It had become the center of the tennis world, and Eala's story had shifted again from breakout run to revenge bid to something much bigger. A stage where history, pressure, and possibility were all colliding at once. Eala had described the prospect of partnering with Venus earlier in the season as a childhood dream. "I am really, really excited," she said. "Venus is such a trailblazer and continues to do so much for the sport. Women's tennis has been a trailblazer for women's sports, and she is a big part of why that is." Now the dream was no longer hypothetical. The duo was scheduled to face Alexandra Osborne and Catherine Harrison in their opening doubles match. For a 46-year-old legend and a 21-year-old rising star, this partnership represented something larger than winning points: legacy, mentorship, and the symbolic passing of experience from one generation to the next. Every rally would carry meaning, and every match would draw global attention. Bad Homburg, Germany. Manila, Philippines. Multiple locations. June 22, 2026. The announcement had barely settled before fans erupted. Within minutes, supporters who had followed Eala's rise from junior promise to world number 30 were facing a surreal reality. Their champion would be sharing the court with one of the greatest players in tennis history. From cracked courts in Quezon City to the grass of Bad Homburg, the moment felt, to many fans, like the greatest possible turn in her story. Tennis journalists tried to frame the moment in context. It wasn't just a draw highlight, it was a generational collision. A 46-year-old icon who'd seen every stage of the sport, paired with a 21-year-old rising force still writing her own story. The contrast in age, style, and experience made it compelling. But what made it significant was the mentorship layered beneath it. Venus Williams had lived through every pressure the sport could offer. Now she'd stand beside Eala, guiding her through the intensity of the biggest stages. For Eala, the opportunity wasn't just tactical, it was transformational. The fulfillment of a childhood dream. Bad Homburg, Germany. June 22, 2026. TC Bad Homburg. The days ahead. Eala's singles run in Bad Homburg ended in the first round against Mertens, but the bigger story was never really about that result. Her breakout run in Berlin, where she defeated top-ranked opponents on her way to the semi-finals, had already done the real work. The Grand Slam seeding cutoff landed on June 22nd, and by then Eala's ranking climb to number 30 had already locked at her seed at the All-England Club, just one spot shy of her career high of number 29, achieved back in March 2026. Every time she steps on the court, Eala has said, she's playing for the Philippines. That's always in the back of my mind. That's what drives me. Bad Homburg stood as her final grass court tune-up before Wimbledon. She'd entered with a singles wild card and a doubles partnership with Venus Williams, a dream pairing marking the first time the two would officially compete together on the same side of the net. The partnership meant the fulfillment of a childhood dream. Eala had grown up watching the Williams sisters dominate Wimbledon, modeling parts of her own game on their blend of power and precision, never imagining she'd one day share a court with one of them, not as an opponent, but as a partner. "I am really, really excited," she said. "Venus is such a trailblazer and continues to do so much and has done so much for the sport." The duo was set to face Alexandra Osborne and Catherine Harrison in their opening doubles round. For a 46-year-old legend and a 21-year-old rising star, the partnership was about more than winning matches. It was about legacy, mentorship, and the symbolic passing of experience from one generation to the next. Bad Homburg, Germany. The road to Wimbledon. Bad Homburg was only the beginning. Wimbledon would follow on June 29th, the most prestigious stage in tennis, where Eala would walk onto the grass courts as a seeded player for the first time in her career. The first Filipino ever to earn such a position at a Grand Slam. She would carry the hopes of over 115 million Filipinos with her, a responsibility she has learned to live with over time, through ranking pressure, through long nights in hotel rooms and early morning practices, through doubt and expectation in equal measure. And still, she kept moving forward. One match, one moment, one step closer to the sport's biggest stage. She carried that weight through Birmingham, through Berlin, through every match that brought her to this point. And now, at 21, the rising star from Quezon City stood on the edge of something bigger. Not afraid. Not anymore.